sports.
We are the Force. We are the Force.
It has been a difficult go of it for the Rays on this homestand, suffering a sweep at the hands of the Toronto Blue Jays tonight. The Rays open a weekend series against the Baltimore Orioles. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Stats. So good to have you aboard. Well, the Rays get rid of the Toronto Ball Club, and they find the Orioles coming into town. They're coming off a 9-2 homestand, and they're running away, it would seem, with the American League East. So the Rays will send Alex Cobb to the hill to face this lineup.
And he gives them a great chance. If you go back, Alex Cobb, over his last 10 starts, the numbers are outstanding. A 5-1 record, an ERA of 1.55. The thing you love about Alex, when he has his good stuff, he has been absolutely dominant. When he's not had his best stuff, impressively, he's still found a way to be able to get it done. Let's see what Alex rolls with tonight.
It will be interesting to watch him against this lineup. It's an aggressive lineup. They're led by Adam Jones, who for the 5th consecutive year not only is having a consistent but again a productive season leading this lineup.
Mr. Do-It-All for the Baltimore Orioles. You think about Adam Jones and what he brings to this ball club. You think about defense, the ability to go and get the ball, good throwing arm. You see the 3 Gold Gloves, a 4-time All-Star, the 280 career average, and as aggressive as he is swinging that bat, I mean, only 18 walks on the season. He continues to be productive, hitting home runs, 24 of those, driving in runs at 81. Adam Jones once again getting it done in all facets of the game for the O's.
So this Baltimore Ball Club, since the end of June, red hot as it turns out. They have won 40 and lost 18. When we come back, Coach Hollenberg will take a look at this red-hot Baltimore Oriole club, top to bottom. Is presented by Toyota. Let's go places. By Checkers. Big Philly flavor, small price. Checkers Philly cheesesteak and the new Chicken Philly, each just $1.99. And by Bert Smith Volkswagen, Tampa Bay's home of driving excitement. Visit BertSmithVW.com. Rays and the Orioles. As the Rays continue this homestand, opening this new series against Baltimore, they are high-flying birds, and for more on that, let's go to Rich Hollenberg.
Thanks, Dwayne. The Orioles locked up their third consecutive winning season with their 82nd win of this year yesterday. It's certainly shaping up to be a season to remember in the Charm City, but keep in mind, it didn't exactly start that way. Let's take a look at tonight's Toyota trend to see what I'm talking about. Back on June 6th, this team was 6.5 games back of the Toronto Blue Jays for first place. That was the farthest they were back, the deepest hole they were in. But since then, the O in Orioles stands for outstanding. They've gone 52-28 since that date, a .650 win percentage over the last 80 games. And as they steamroll towards an AL East title, they now held on to first place for 90 days. Here's what Joe Madden had to say about Baltimore.
Their pitching doesn't get the credit it deserves, I don't think. I think they're better than people understand. Their team on the field, I'm a big fan of the way they play. They play it hard every night. Their bench is good. So they've gotten some help from different spots, i.e. Pierce has really come on for them this year. They let the guy go, and he comes back, and he becomes a force. Wieters gets hurt, and Joseph steps in there. They've had a lot of that, and that's bully for them. And, Buck, of course, does a wonderful job. So they've earned the right to be in the situation that they're in right now.
But of course, we can't crown them yet. The Rays coming in at 67-74, so 21 games remaining on the docket. The Rays will need to go 15-6 the rest of the way to lock up a winning season, which would be their 7th straight, dating back to 2008. Under 2.5 minutes to go to first pitch. Dwayne Stats, Brian Anderson with the call coming up after this.
Tonight's game is brought to you in breathtaking high definition by H.H. Gregg. Alex Cobb goes to the hill, trying to turn the Rays' fortunes against the Orioles around. Here is the starting lineup, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Baltimore will have Nick Markakis leading off, followed by David Lowe and then Adam Jones. The DH is Nelson Cruz hitting cleanup in front of Chris Davis. J.J. Hardy hits 6th, Caleb Joseph 7th. Ryan Flaherty's in the lineup at third base. Jonathan Scope at second will bat 9th.
Well, take a look at Alex Cobb's season numbers, making his 23rd start, looking to get into double digits in the win column. The record there at 9-7, and he is coming off of a start against the Boston Red Sox. Threw the ball very well, pitched into the 7th inning, 6 1/3, 2 runs, 1 earned. Unfortunately, took the loss in that game because of a gentleman by the name of Clay Buchholz. But Alex Cobb does have that streak of 2 earned runs or fewer in 10 straight starts, a franchise record.
And to this point, the only pitcher in the major leagues with a longer streak of that would be Felix Hernandez out in Seattle. So great company there. Hernandez 17 of those and Cobb with 10. And we're set to play baseball. Nick Markakis in the batter's box. And the first pitch of this game presented by Pinch a Penny. Fastball and a wave and a miss by Markakis. Cobb after his 10th win of the year tonight. He's ahead of Markakis, 2 strikes.
And you got to believe that the competitor that Alex Cobb is, that revenge is on the mind. You know, this is a Baltimore team 2 starts ago that gave him his shortest start of the season. 4 innings. He had to work so hard for every out, up over 90 pitches in that ball game. And so you know he'd like to come back and get the better of them here tonight.
He's 4-1 in his career against Baltimore with an earned run average of barely over 2. That covers 7 career starts. And he's ahead of Markakis, 0-2. Buck Showalter, the skipper, has his club in at 82 and 57, 5th year directing this Baltimore ball club. It's fouled the other way, and as you know, the Orioles had a long, frustrating stretch. Buck Showalter took over as the manager of this team. It has not been an easy go of it in Baltimore, but the last couple of years certainly different. Starting in 2012, 93 wins, 85 last year, and a 9.5 game lead in the AL East right now.
Well, and you go back to Buck Showalter when he came into Baltimore. The one thing that he does and has a great eye for is his types of players. And he went in there and decided, listen, we have to change the culture here in Baltimore. You know, bring in the kind of guys that he likes. And right now, you know, he's got a team. It's a gritty team. It's a team that just continues to find a way. They've taken on the personality of their manager, and they are getting it done big this year.
Markakis lifts it foul. Geyer on the run, but can't get there. Running up the backside of the bullpen mound.
And those are tough routes there for outfielders when you have those mounds right there just off the field, just out of play, and you're trying to track a fly ball. You're thinking about the low wall. You know the mounds are going to come in play at some point.
Yeah, it's tough enough to go up that mound, and then if you get to the top of the mound, there's that rubber to contend with.
Yep. If someone's been throwing on that mound, there's a hole in front of that rubber.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Liner into left and playing shallow out there. Geyer on the off field, and Geyer makes the catch.
Let's take a look at the Rays defense as it lines up here tonight. In the outfield left to right, we have Brandon Geyer, Ben Zobrist in center, and Will Myers across the infield third to first. Evan Longoria, Yunel Escobar, Logan Forsythe, and James Loney. Ryan Hannigan behind the plate. Yeah, I was wondering if that was a typo on our sheet when we got in with Ben Zobrist out there in center field, but getting the opportunity to patrol.
Desmond Jennings still on the sideline. What started as a bone bruise on his knee. It's a foul ball back. Kiermaier with the night off. The lefty Wei-Yin Chen on the hill for Baltimore. There's Desmond. And it appears to be at a point where when Desmond feels it's ready, he'll give Joe Madden the word, and Joe will make the moves accordingly.
Well, and that's the word that we're getting from what we've seen, what we've heard, that it's all about what he can tolerate. And, I think he's been told that he's not going to be able to make the injury any worse by playing, but it just comes down to a tolerance factor. And if that is something that he can, get over here down the stretch, you'll see him back out there. If not,
base hit the other way for Lowe. Rays had the shift on for him. Longoria, the only man on the left side and well away from the bag. And Lowe hit it to the right of Evans.
And you know what makes that interesting is so many times you see the shift more prevalent on guys who can hurt you with power. A guy like David Lowe, who's a speed guy, you pitch him away, especially with 2 strikes. He's got that ability to slap it that way, and it makes it all the easier when there's nobody over there.
Orioles with a base runner, and here is Adam Jones. The move to first, Lowe back in. Not a big base stealing team, Baltimore. In fact, they're last in the American League in steals with 36. And Lowe's 7 of 12 in the running game.
Yeah, they've got the fewest stolen bases in Major League Baseball by 13. I mean, there's no one even close to it.
Lowe, conversely, they lead the major leagues in home runs, and with that kind of home run threat, they're not going to be running a lot.
And that's what's going to be interesting coming down the stretch. You assume Baltimore is a playoff club. When you get into the playoffs, to have just such a one-dimensional offense, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Because really, you talk about the running game, there's not much of anything as far as the running game goes. They don't take a lot of walks, very aggressive at the plate. They really live off of the home run, much like the Earl Weaver era Baltimore Orioles.
You see the American League, Toronto, who just left here second. The Orioles not only lead the American League, but the major leagues in home runs. Starting to stop by Lowe, and the pitch is in off the plate, 2-1.
The one thing that David Lowe does do is he gives you
over to first. They picked him off. He came close the prior time over there, and this time Lowe is picked off first base. Second pickoff for Cobb this year.
And that leads you to believe that Lowe was close to going. I mean, he was getting a big lead. You talk about the start and stop, and Alex right there caught him in between steps as he was looking to lengthen that lead. And that's all it takes. In fact, Alex, a little trickery right there, actually never coming set.
Now a base hit the other way. Rays didn't have the full shift on. An extreme shade with Forsythe toward the bag at second. And Jones hit it to the left through the big hole on the right side. So with 2 outs, Jones aboard and Nelson Cruz the DH. Well, he leads the majors in home runs with 37.
You see what the Rays have done against him. Just a .212 average. 2 home runs, 6 run batted in, and actually only a .235 on base. They've only walked him twice, so it's not like they're running away from him. They have pitched him tough all season long.
And there's a strike. That's going to be the interesting thing that you started to touch on about this team in the playoffs. They run into a pitcher who can handle an aggressive, power-heavy team. Ground ball short. Escobar makes the throw. That will be the challenge for this team and for pitchers against them. No score. In this one, opening game of this series, Alex Cobb giving up a couple of hits and registering a pickoff at first. Lineup for the Rays brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. Ben Zobrist in center field leading off, then Brandon Geyer and Evan Longoria with Will Myers in the cleanup spot. James Loney hits 5th, Yunel Escobar at 6th, Logan Forsythe, the number 7 hitter at 2nd. In front of Ryan Hannigan, the catcher. Sean Rodriguez serving as the designated hitter tonight for Joe Madden.
Well, taking the mound tonight for the Baltimore Orioles, left-hander Wei-Yin Chen making his 27th start of the season. Boy, all he's done is win, as you can see by that record. 14-4, ERA 3.83, and he's coming off of win in his last start against the Minnesota Twins. 6 2/3 innings, 4 earned runs, no walks, 7 strikeouts.
Well, here's Ben to lead it off for the Rays against the left-hander Chen. Zobrist starts the night hitting .273, and the first pitch is a strike. Pitcher for this Baltimore club, 14 victories. This is his 27th start.
You saw his line from his last start, 6 2/3, 4 earned runs and a win. He has picked the right night to pitch on, even on off nights. So his run support average is almost 6. So he's got plenty of support behind him.
One hopper to short. Pick up by Hardy, and the throw is a straight line to first. 1 away.
Now let's take a quick look at the Baltimore defense as it lines up tonight. In the outfield, left to right, we have David Lowe, Adam Jones, and Nick Markakis. Across the infield, third to first, Ryan Flaherty, J.J. Hardy, Jonathan Scope, and Chris Davis. Caleb Joseph will be behind the plate.
Brandon Geyer takes a pitch too high. Chen has given up a few home runs, 22 on the year. A lot of those solo shots.
And you can live with those. You can live with the solo shots. It's those 2- and 3-run homers that will do you in. But he does a really nice job with runners in scoring position. And that helps him in that category.
Hit a little bit with that pitch, 2-1. There's the run support for him. Nice to be on top of that list.
Oh boy.
Foul ball got part of the catcher, Caleb Joseph.
Yeah, if you're sitting at the top of the American League run support list, you had better have a bunch of wins. It's exactly what Chen has.
Chen with a 3.83 earned run average.
Wow.
Now the count is full. That's pretty close right there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. That's where Chen is looking in. Like, where did you have that pitch? Because this pitch looked to be on the plate right around the knees.
It looks pretty good right there, huh?
Absolutely.
Geyer punches it foul, hanging in. Now the thing with Chen, when you look at all of his starts this year, he has given up a few runs, but he stayed away from the disastrous start pretty much.
Yep. You're absolutely right. Very consistent in his outings. And it's because he's very consistent in his approach. I mean, he's a guy that's going to throw the fastball, slider, changeup, curveball, and his mix is very good. He doesn't get too predictable. He moves the ball around the zone, as we've already seen, and he keeps his team in the game night in and night out.
3-2 is popped up. Scope out from second base to make the catch. So 2 up, 2 down. The bases will be empty as Evan Longoria strides to the plate. You can see Wei and Chen. And the Rays that 1 earned run in 6 1/3. But in 3 starts since, if you combine them, 5 home runs, 10 earned runs in just under 15 innings.
And the majority of that damage has come in the last 2. And so as the year has gone on, the Rays have seen more of him. They've obviously had a better approach, better swings, better results. Hope that continues.
High fly ball center field. Adam Jones puts it away. 1, 2, 3 go the Rays. We'll move into the second. Baltimore nothing, the Rays nothing. Tweet your photo using hashtag SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown on our broadcast later in the game. Brought to you by AT&T.
That man right there, that gentleman has a bright future.
No glare. It's Chris Davis. Strike one. Strike two to Chris Davis. J.J. Hardy on deck. Davis, Hardy, and Joseph due up. It's a one hopper, and it's grabbed by Longoria on the right side of the infield. In the second base spot with Forsythe out there in shallow right. And a nice play there by Longoria.
Absolutely. You know, he's not used to this angle and a shot like this. A ground ball is one thing, but a Chris Davis sinking low line drive one hopper, completely different, but a nice play. I guess if you've got gold, field a ball anywhere. Nice play there.
This is J.J. Hardy. And to strike Hardy now with 9 home runs. He had a long stretch without a home run, and that after kind of leading the way the last few years from the shortstop spot in home run production. Changeup has him out front, and he fouled that one. He had led the major league shortstops in home runs from 11, 12, and 13. 77 home runs over that stretch. Checks in time, and the count is 1-2. Let's see, 25 home runs last year and 9 this year.
Look at those averages. Morphing of a player right there. Average goes up, the power is going down. You know, if he gets his 10th, just to put into perspective the difference between these two clubs when you talk about power, he'll be their 8th hitter in that lineup that is in double digits in home runs, whereas the Rays have 3. And the bottom 2 are at 11 and 10. Barely.
Yep.
And that's the difference.
Well, they have 185 home runs. Leading the majors, the Rays in power, 113th in the American League. Two and two.
You start to look at Baltimore doesn't run, doesn't manufacture, doesn't hurt them as much with the power. The Rays don't run that much either. And lacking in the power department, you can see why you start to put things together, and it's been difficult for this team to consistently score runs. Maybe no more frustrating than last night's ball game.
Joe Madden actually lamenting how the Rays had wasted such great pitching. It really has gotten to that point where Joe, who is as positive, looking for the silver lining on every dark cloud, but has to admit that they've had some outstanding pitching and losing efforts because of a lack of offense. There's a base hit for Hardy off the 3-2 pitch, a change. 3 hits for Baltimore.
That ball game last night, obviously following it, trying to keep up with what the Rays were doing. You take a look at that changeup that J.J. Hardy goes down and gets and able to flip out into left field. I got to the bottom of the 9th inning, and you see first and third, nobody out. Went to bed. Said, that's it. 1-0 win. Here we come. Wake up this morning to a 1-0 ball game.
Yep.
Not the right team.
Another great job by Jake Odorizzi, but no support. Caleb Joseph is the pitch, takes the pitch down. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, you know how you start to think in this game. They've gotten such great pitching this year. Overall, they're 3rd in the league in ERA. Enough said right there. Great pitching on this staff. But so far, 67 wins, all they could gather with 74 losses. Zobrist there. Joseph is the second out. And you're always concerned when you get so much good in one part of the game. You think, well, boy, we let that game get away despite great pitching. You're always concerned that you're going to run out of whatever it is you're doing well and pay the price for that.
Yep. Yeah, and really over the long haul, they have not run out of that. They just still have not been able to consistently take advantage of it. And for Joe Maddon to come out and say that, you know how frustrated he is, because that's something that he typically will sit on. He may think it, you're not going to hear about it, and finally he's like, you know what, enough is enough. The elephant in the room, and listen, we're wasting. We're wasting great performances.
Hey, he's a positive guy, but he's also a human being, and I think we saw a little bit of that. The fact that he would just get to the point of actually acknowledging the concern. That one shot up the middle by Flaherty. Stopping at second is Hardy, and so 2 men on with 2 men out in the 2nd inning. Joe's positive with a reason. I mean, he feels that you've got to be positive all the time. Alex Cobb, on the other hand, at times he's positive, but in a way, in a competitive way. He has said, "This team," his quote was, "We've got to get better. This is not good." They're both headed in the same direction. A little different approach. First pitch to Scope, breaking ball, and that's in there for a strike.
Well, and that's true in anything. There are times where you can be the most positive person in the world, but at some point you come and say, you know what, this right now, whatever's going on, is not working, and it needs to change.
Step throw to first coming out of that scoop, that block. The Rays catcher Hannigan. No, you're right about that.
And we need to get better. I mean, that you understand Joe's approach, but you need guys like Alex Cobb too. You need guys like that there's some accountability, and you're not afraid to talk about it.
Yep.
You just can't put your head in the sand and say everything's grand. Well, no, it's not. The record said 14 out of 15 losses say that it's not great. And yet, if the one part of this game, if you allow yourself to go negative with the fact that you're playing every day, that 1-14 or with that stretch, that'll just continue on and on and on, and that's the fear that Joe Maddon has.
Yeah, and any manager has to recognize that as a possibility and keep it upbeat, keep it positive, and Joe certainly does that. I mean, he's of the mind that there's no room for negativity in the clubhouse and in the dugout. We're all pushing forward.
No, and no negativity, but accountability, and it's a fine line sometimes.
Sure. That's a strike on the outside corner. Fastball out there. Baltimore will leave 2. Bottom of the 2nd coming, no score.
Bottom of the second, a couple of major news items from the major leagues today. The Arizona Diamondbacks have fired GM Kevin Towers. He'd been with Arizona since 2010. And maybe more shockingly, guys, Ron Washington today stepping down as manager of the Texas Rangers. And the Rays connection to that story, former Rays coach Tim Bogard takes over for the Rangers in an interim role. He's well regarded throughout the major leagues, as you well know, and he was part of the 2008 Henning-winning Rays team with Joe Madden here. Guys?
All right, Rich, thanks for the update. You're right, tough to see that at both ends. Ron Washington had enjoyed great success there in Texas, but this has been a very difficult year. Tim Bogard, it'll be interesting to see how serious they are about giving him an opportunity. It would be great. He is a solid guy, number one, solid man and a solid baseball guy. Will Myers leads off. 1 ball, no strikes. One and one. Rays facing Wei-Yin Chen. Two and one. Here's a guy where these final 21 games are very important. Will Myers, as he tries to end what has been, he has said before, the most difficult season he's ever had playing baseball.
And he would love to go into the offseason feeling good about what he did in September. Use that as a springboard into 2015.
And the base hit up the middle for Myers, and the Rays have their first one. Leadoff single in the second.
Now that makes him 7 out of 17 here in the month. There's a pitch away. That's a pitch that's given him trouble, but look how he stays down and through it. And he's strong enough that even that ball on the ground, watch how quickly it gets to the outfield. Even in slow motion, it gets out there quick.
Myers aboard for James Loney.
You know, what will end up happening is if you're able to handle that pitch and get some hits off of it, it'll force pitchers to now pitch you in. And those are the ones where when the mistake is made, that's when you start launching.
Loney taking a pitch down and away. Loney leading the team in hitting this year. Will Myers at first. Loney hitting .283 for the year. You figure he'll be pretty consistent against lefties and righties, and that average against lefties at .250, which for him is down a little bit.
Yeah, I think last year .299 for the season. I think he was .299 against righties and lefties, or just about. Such a solid approach at the plate that it really doesn't matter to him what hand you're delivering the baseball with, but this year a little bit on the downside from the norm. Either way you cut it, you know when James Loney steps into the box that it's going to be a tough at-bat. He's got a pretty good idea of what he wants to do in certain situations.
1 ball, 2 strikes. He has a measured approach up there. Two. Slider didn't miss by much. To get into left, low to his left, and makes the catch. Get Yunel Escobar to the plate. Escobar at 245. Does own a home run off Wei-Yin Chen. One of 2 hits he has against him in 17 at bats. Pitch is down. Ball, no strikes. There's the home run. Pitch in, but enough for the plate. And he hit it out to left. Forsythe will be next. Rays have gone 5-11 against Baltimore this year after the last few years pretty much dominating the season series, and they're only 1-5 against the Orioles here at Tropicana Field. It's out number 2, handled by Nick Markakis.
Boy, how do you quantify the struggles here at home? What should be an absolute home field advantage, and the Rays have just not played well here at all.
You know, Joe Madden said, you ask him that question, he says, I don't know. It is interesting that the Rays had utilized their home field as a place where they knew they could always come to get well. And they've played over 500 ball on the road this year. And now, I mean, they'd have to win out to finish at 500 at home, which is tough to do. They're 31-41 at home, and no one would have ever predicted that.
No. Even visiting players, when they come here, you know, it's like you're going to Florida to play in a dome. It's you know, Brett Cecil said so much as yesterday, said it's just not conducive to baseball. You know, so you've got visiting players that don't necessarily want to be here. You know, this is a tough place to play. When this place fills up, or even if you get just a rowdy crowd, it's loud. The Rays have, you know, it has really fueled them, and they've been able to feed off of that over the years. But boy, this year, a different story.
2-1. You know, there used to be at times where a team would come into a dome, whether it was the Astrodome or the King Dome in Seattle, and it would take them a game to adjust to the difference in lighting. That gave the home team an advantage right there.
I hated domes. I mean, the old King Dome, when I was with the Angels, brutal. Houston, like you're talking about, Montreal, it was all bad. And my numbers will reflect that.
3-1 the count on Logan Forsythe. And a fastball by him. So the count is full.
Think about here. You talk about the lighting. What about the lighting and the roof? How many balls have we seen misplayed by visiting teams in here?
Yeah, there's as much of a defensive adjustment, it would seem, as a hitting adjustment.
You know, you go to a ballpark for the first time that year, you know, you'll go out first trip in and work balls down in the corner off the wall. How are they going to ricochet? What, you know, how does the ball bounce off of the wall? Here you've also got to start taking fly balls off the bat during batting practice. You got to put a whole lot more work in to get yourself acclimated to playing here at the Trop.
Another foul ball. There have been a lot of questions throughout this entire season. The Rays have had some injuries, but every club has injuries. You're going to lose a pitcher or two. You're going to be without an everyday player, one or two for significant periods of time. That goes with the territory. The other thing about this club that I think is puzzling has as much to do with execution as it does basic athletic talent. And there have been defensive plays, we've talked about them, where for some inexplicable reason they're not made. Ball 4. So a long at bat there, and he works the walk, pushing Myers up to second.
And these actually go beyond routine plays. They're the easiest plays that you'll get at the major league level. You know, a couple hop ground ball that's not hit that hard, that's just off the edge of the glove. You know, short little pop up that just kind of nobody gets there. And you're right. There's been a lot of those plays that you just, for a team that's typically so fundamentally sound, you just don't see that from them.
Ryan Hannigan. Pitch is high. Hannigan's an interesting case. He's done a nice job behind the plate. See, the last 5 games, he's 6 of 13. But when you look at his home and road numbers, his road numbers offensively are much better, significantly better than they've been here at Tropicana Field. And that's unlike at any other time in his career. He's been about even wherever he's been, home and away. And you see right there, hitting .280. So Hannigan had been in Cincinnati .260 to .258. Pop out of play. You know, his numbers home and road have been pretty close throughout his career. Lefty righty, they've been really close as well, and the big disparity is against lefties and righties. If you look at those, you're trying to figure that out. Now look at against left-handed pitching, 128. .250 against righties, and he's always been around .258, .260 there in that breakout.
Yeah,
how do you figure that?
No, especially as a right-handed hitter. I mean, for a 128 average, that's obviously nowhere near the norm. Almost half of what he does against righties, which you figure on paper would be a more difficult matchup.
Yeah. He's been hurt a couple of times, and that's never easy, but it's difficult to figure how there's that kind of disparity when you would figure against left-handed pitching he'll be much better, and his career has shown that he is.
Well, these are the things that you hope to finish strong. You hope to put some things together, and then every player is going to highlight something that he didn't particularly care about his year and go about fixing it. Sometimes, you know, it's like anything else. When the season's over, you have your sit down with Joe Madden, and if you're a hitter with Derek Sheldon, if you're a pitcher with Jim Hickey, and they go over things that you've done well that year, things they want you to concentrate and work on in the off-season programs, all those different things. And sometimes, there's no answer for it.
Yeah.
You just come back, get them next year.
Well, because you might think, well, he had trouble hitting here at home. You know, it's a ballpark that favors pitchers a little bit. But we saw his home and road numbers, and it doesn't indicate that at all. And he just misses an extra base hit here, just outside the bag. So his numbers have been fairly equal home and road. So you would think, at least on the surface, it would discount the home ballpark effect. So there's something else at play there, or is it just a one-season anomaly?
I think the turf lip got him on that one. Mm-hmm. That ball looked like it should have been fair and hit that lip. And how do you explain that? Everything with Hannigan.
That's it.
Yeah, that's why sometimes you just don't look that deep. You chalk it up for what it is, and you just go right back to work.
Yeah, because winning is not easy. This ball is going to get away down, and Joseph finally locates it. And the Rays will have 2 men in scoring position.
Well, you know what I always go back to? Every time you hear about that or you think about that, I just go back to that old tried and trusted and true quote from Lou Piniella. It's too hard. It's just too hard.
And it can be hard to win a game. Now 2 men in scoring position. And there's ball 4. That'll load the bases. Back-to-back walks and some extended advance here from Forsythe and Hannigan to draw these walks.
Well, Wei-Yin Chen not very sharp here in the early going, and the Rays have been afforded an opportunity here with 2 outs. A couple of 2-out walks, a wild pitch, and a guy coming to the plate in Sean Rodriguez, who we've seen tune up some lefties. Pretty good juice.
Sean with 11 home runs. He's 4 of 21 against Wei-Yin Chen with a home run off him.
Yeah, you look at this matchup and just the feel that you get. I'm not going to speak to the final result, but this ball's going to get hit hard. Hard.
Speed taken upstairs with that curveball in the low 70s. And a 30-pitch inning for Chen here in the second, and he misses in, falling behind Sean Rodriguez 2-0. Big cut right there.
How did he get
that? In the count. Here's a fastball. Big cut.
How did he get that by him? Boy, that was right in the wheelhouse. That had a 4 spot written on it.
Foul back.
Living on the edge. It's a lot of work, too, all to try to get out of the second inning unscathed, almost to 50 pitches.
Singled and 2 walks, bases loaded, 2 outs. The DH tonight. And ball 3 runs it all the way out. So a full count with 2 outs, the bases loaded. The runners will be breaking. This is the 4th full count Chen has had on a hitter First time through the lineup here. And the 3-2 on its way. Lifted into right center. Markakis, however, is there to make the catch. And the Rays will leave them loaded. They do not score. On to the third. Of Sons of Anarchy, premiering Tuesday, September 9th, only on FX. Alex Cobb through 2 innings, giving up 4 hits, and stranded 3. And the Rays stranded 3 in the 2nd inning, leaving the bases loaded. Scoreless on to the 3rd. Top of the order for Baltimore, Nick Markakis.
Both of these teams with early opportunities off Chen and Cobb. Nothing to show for it so far.
These 2 pitchers have thrown a few pitches. 39 through the first 2 for Cobb and 50 for Chen. Curveball misses for ball 1.
Well, we talked about Chen, that first start that he had against the Rays this year, good, and everything's starting to go south since then. This is his 5th start against them. You talk about being able to game plan for a guy as far as a scouting report goes, and then what he has personally done against you makes it difficult on the pitcher. You can force him into bigger workloads. That's what got Alex Cobb his last time out against this club.
2 balls and a strike.
I'll tell you the other thing you have going against you for Alex is you've got a motivated, as motivated as Alex is, this Baltimore team wanting to put this division away as quickly as possible. So they are locking it in right now, trying to win ball games, and that's what they've done. You go back to that 3-game sweep that they suffered at the hand of the Cubs in Chicago. And since then, they've won 9 of 11. Just have turned it on.
The other interesting thing about this, you're right, they have dominated in the American League East with their wins and losses, particularly over the last couple of months. But inside the East, very impressive. At some point, they may have to run into Detroit or Kansas City. And they have not done so well against those 2 teams. In fact, they're under 500 against the American League Central, 16-17, and under 500 against the Tigers and the Royals.
Does that sound familiar? You remember some of those years where the Rays had such great years and then would struggle mightily against the American League Central?
Yep. There's strike 3 call on Markakis. Fastball, that one around 93. Second strikeout of the game for Alex Cobb.
Well, you talk about a lockdown, lock-up fastball right there, and Markakis knew it. Alex able to bury that pitch right on the corner.
You know, that's the thing about Cobb. If you're a hitter, he'll surprise you a little bit. You're so used to seeing a breaking ball and a changeup, and then here's 93, and boy, is it crisp.
Especially when it's in, because the fastball in, to be able to make solid contact, you've got to get the head out even quicker than a ball that's away from you. So you're sitting there waiting for the 86, 87 mile an hour changeup or something soft out over. Forget it.
1-1 to count on David Lowe. Ties him up with that pitch. 1-2. We saw Lowe go the other way on that shift. Base hit in the first inning. Interesting breakout there. Hits by direction. 12 the other way. 14 he's pulled to right.
Well, the only thing, that those are hits by direction, and I'm saying that maybe the Rays' internal numbers show that the majority of those hits were in the air and not on the ground. That's the only explanation for it. But he's already burned you once out of this alignment.
And the Rays are pretty much straight up, spread out in the outfield. Fly ball toward left center. Coming back to Geyer, who makes the catch. 2 up and 2 down in the third.
Center fielder, number 10, Adam Jones.
Adam Jones singled his first time. Jones chasing his teammate Nick Markakis in total hits. Markakis leads the team with 163. Now with that base hit for Jones in the first, he has 162. They are 6th and 7th overall in the American League in total hits. And there's the model of consistency that he's had that we referenced earlier in the evening. You just don't get much more consistent than that right across the board, starting in 2010. Two and 0 the count. But Buck Showalter, in his 5th year as the manager of this team, and he has overseen this development of Adam Jones. Took over, and Jones, young outfielder with great promise and talent. And there's ball 4. He walks, and that is big news. It's the 19th walk he's drawn this year. This one on 4 pitches. Now Nelson Cruz.
How about this? How about this for a stat for you, Dwayne? You saw that consistent production on that graphic from Adam Jones in the same time frame from 2010. He's hit 133 home runs. He's walked 129 times. He's hit more home runs than walks since 2010.
How about that?
That's what makes his production so surprising. Because guys that walk 19 times a year as an everyday player, typically the production, you would think would be down because he'd be chasing so much. But boy, he just puts up 280, 25, 30, 80, 100 every single year.
Chop by Cruz. A little longer throw for Forsythe from the shortstop side of the bag. Cruz is out of there, and we go to the bottom of the third, scoreless. Half of the third at Tropicana Field tonight. In this game and all season long, Tires Plus will donate $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Rays will have the top of the order coming up here in the third. First time through the lineup for Wei-Yin Chen. He's thrown 2 first pitch strikes to 9 hitters.
And that put him in peril. And the Rays had a great opportunity last half after picking up two out walks before Sean Rodriguez lined out to right field. But they've definitely pushed Chen the first 2 innings. Let's see if they can break through here in the third.
Top of the order, Ben Zobrist. Chen retired the order 1, 2, 3 in the first and floats the first pitch in there high. Really took something off that curveball. Around 66 or 67 miles per hour. And he tries it again and gets a strike this time. 1-1.
Chen can be savvy. You know, right now the command not where he would like it. You just mentioned 2 out of 9, now 2 out of 10 hitters first pitch strikes. But he'll try to find a way. You know, that's what you have these other pitches for. Start the slow curve. A slider here, a changeup there. Try to find some mix that works that can buy you a couple of innings.
Play holds the count at 1-2. He's got 2 runs off him in Baltimore on the 26th of August in a game Baltimore won 4-2, but Chen did not last 5 innings in that one. 2 on Ben Zobrist. Down to third at the bag. Flaherty with the throw. That's not in time. Flaherty actually stepped on the bag at third, making the pickup. And his throw not in time. A base hit for Ben Zobrist.
How about Ben being fooled on that pitch, and yet he's able to keep it in play? Flaherty, you see him Getting the forced third before trying to get that double play. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, that's just a regular play. That could be dangerous, though, when you think about it. You're fielding a ball thinking about throwing it across the diamond. On the edge of the bag. Too far to go, too long of a throw.
A base hit for Ben. Zobrist closing in on 1,000 hits in his career. The bunt by Geyer. Chin off the mound, makes the throw to first, and that pushes Zobrist into second base. So Geyer gets a sacrifice.
And I know who's coming off the bench if I need to get a bunt down. Brandon Geyer has shown that ability, sacrificing guys into scoring position, bunting for a hit. And here he gets down a nice one, drops it right out there in front, forces Chin to make a pretty clean play here to get him at first.
Well, here's Evan Longoria with a man in scoring position, hitting .313 on the year with runners in scoring position. Takes a pitch low. Came into the game 6 out of 21 against Chin. As the Rays again have a scoring opportunity. They left the bases loaded in the second inning, and now Zobrist aboard at second here in the third inning. It's a high fly ball into deep left. Lowe will go to the track and lost it, but finds it right in front of the wall, and he makes the catch. You can see him put his arms up as if he had lost track of that fly ball, and at the last moment, with his back against the wall, he found it.
I'll tell you what, that's pure panic. You lose a ball in the roof, this ball this close to getting out of there, that's what you're talking about, Dwayne, right there. That's letting you know, where did it go?
Well, that's a hope and a prayer that you find it.
He did a nice job of maintaining composure, too.
Now it's up to Will Myers. Strike one. Zobrist still at second. Ben with the infield hit. We mentioned he's closing in on 1,000. Rays have only had one player in a Rays uniform collect 1,000 or more hits. Carl Crawford at 1,480, and Ben is now 4 hits away from 1,000. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And look what's happening in this at bat. First 2 pitches in to Will, and that's what will happen if he's able to just have some good at bats and get the occasional hit on that ball that's down and away. That's tough for him right now. Make that adjustment, hit that ball hard. Pitchers will then say, well, I got to start coming in now. Well, that's fine, but those mistakes lead to extra bases.
Swing, foul ball. He's on the changeup there.
And frustrating too for Will, because that little check swing maybe cost him a strike there instead of being up 2-1, now 1-2. Whole different ball game here. You can see right there, whatever they're doing, Caleb Joseph said, I want it down. Oof, it wasn't.
I'll tell you, Chin has missed his location on a few of his pitches tonight.
You're absolutely right. You think about a couple of those fastballs to Sean Rodriguez that were out over the plate. Caleb Joseph saying, I want this thing down and in, and that spinning up their middle. Fortunate that those balls haven't been hammered.
Chopper to third, backhanded by Flaherty. His throw's going to be in time, and that retires Will Myers. Rays leave a man at second. No score through 3.
No score here just yet against the Orioles. Sunday is not only dog day, but it's also a chance to help animals. Round up any unopened pet food that you have lying around and bring it to the ballpark on Sunday, because the Rays Wives are holding a pet food drive, all to benefit Pet Pal Animal Shelter. And leading the effort is, of course, Jamie Edmondson, fiance of Evan Longoria. They have been strong supporters of Pet Pal Animal Shelter for a while now. There you see Evan hanging with his 2 pups out in the dock. Now you can drop off the food supplies at gates 1 and 6 from 11:30 to 2 on Sunday. Remember, that's a 1:40 start. And then there's a silent auction on all kinds of signed memorabilia at the TBT party deck. A fun day with an opportunity to do some good doing NBA.
All right, Kelly, thank you very much. Chris Davis leading off the 4th. Davis coming off last year's 53 home run season. 25 this year, which puts him 10th in the American League's individual home run derby. He's up in the count 2-0, and with that, the Rays already had the shift on, but they flip-flop and move Longoria to the right side and Escobar back to the left side now. 2-0 on Davis. 2 balls and a strike. Missed the fastball.
I think that Chris Davis down the stretch for Baltimore is going to be very key to get him back consistently swinging the bat well. He has been productive as far as hitting home runs. I mean, half of what he had last year. The average not where he needs it to be. Trying to get hot here the last month, and that's been the reason why. The ability for pitchers to expand the zone on Davis, even when he's up in the count, and the strike zone discipline just has not been there, and that's what's led to the decreased production.
2-2 the count. And he takes strike 3 right there. That's a fastball. Davis checking with the plate umpire Will Little on the location of that. Caught looking.
This has been the story of the year for Chris Davis, and you can get him up there. He drops those hands in a hurry with his uppercut swing. You see him already started to head down, and that ball right at the top of the zone gets him. And of course he's going to clear. He does not want that pitch called on him, be forced to swing at it.
Hardy, if he makes contact with that, it's going to be one of those mile-high pop-ups. So it's tough, as you pointed out. He starts to drop the hands, tough to get on top of that pitch in any case. Line drive to left, and it's caught by Geyer. Hot shot line drive by J.J. Hardy. And Geyer equal to the task out there in left field, leaving his feet to make the grab.
Yeah, and you've got to know that you're going to get to that. Here, a scoreless ball game. That ball gets by you. It's going for extra bases, but Geyer right here, a good beat on it, good read, and he goes down and makes a tremendous catch.
Put a star on it there for Geyer. Alex Cobb appreciates the fine effort. There's Caleb Joseph. And that's a strike. Two outs, bases empty in the 4th. Hot shot to third, and it's grabbed by Longoria. Nice grab on the sinking liner. It had a little hook to it, and Longoria gloved it. 3 up, 3 down. Bottom half of the 4th coming. No score. Rays baseball on Sun Sports, presented by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Available exclusively at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. By Bluebell Ice Cream. By Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. And by Samuel Adams, for the love of beer. Rays first baseman James Loney to lead off the home half of inning 4. Rays had the bases loaded with 2 outs in the second inning, left them that way. Ben Zobrist opened the third with a base hit. Sacrificed to second with the 3 and 4 hitters up, but he was stranded. So the Rays start anew here in the bottom of the 4th against Wei-In Chen with Loney. And Loney takes the breaking ball. That's a strike. Chen started the 3rd inning with a couple of those curveballs for strikes. Finally got one in there, this time on the first pitch to Loney. There's a fastball to follow, and he's up in the count 0-2.
The last thing you want him to do is to start to dial it in, but we've seen that far too often this year with the Rays. A pitcher struggling early with command, all of a sudden finds it and starts to rip off scoreless innings. 3 really good pitches here by Chen.
Davis to Chen to get him, and Loney jammed on that pitch, rolls out to first.
Yeah, that's tremendous sequencing against a tough hitter. Slow curve outside corner, strike 1. Fastball 91-92 outside corner, strike 2. Fastball up and in, jam piece. This is just really nice job by Chen to get this ground ball.
Yunel Escobar. One ball, no strikes. Two and nothing. No score in this game. Rays shut out last night for the 17th time this season. Moving ahead of San Diego for that notoriety. 3-1. That, by the way, ties a club record. The inaugural season of Major League Baseball here in Tampa Bay. 98 saw the club shut out 17 times. Full count now to Yunel Escobar.
Speaking of shutouts, how about this? How about Alex Cobb has made 22 starts this year. 7 of them have ended in a shutout of some sort. 4 good for the Rays, 3 not so good for the Rays.
Well, the Rays collectively been involved in 35 shutouts. There's a base hit up the middle for Escobar. The staff has 18, and the Rays have been shut out those 17 times. Logan Forsythe. Forsythe walked his first time. Strike 1. 1-1. You have to go back to 1973 to find a team involved in more shutouts in a season than the Rays this year. That was the Yankees. They were involved in 37 shutouts that year. So here we are, the Rays 35. With counting this one, 21 games left on the schedule. Shot to center. Jones going back, still drifting to the track. And he makes the catch. Escobar back, tagged, and thought about trying to advance, but no place to go there.
And how about Adam Jones showing off his arm? You'll remember that play that he made in Baltimore going back to Rob Evan Longoria. What would have been a 3-run homer and then a perfect strike to second for a double play. And Forsythe got into that pretty good, but plays big out here, especially to center field. And Jones able to run it down. You know, that is pretty remarkable, because you're talking almost 40 years, the shutout deal, almost 41 years, and that's a lot of teams, a lot of baseball, a lot of seasons.
Yeah. And here's the other thing: you mentioned 7 shutout games that Cobb has been involved in.
Yeah.
And you know, that turns out to be equal distribution among 5 starting pitchers. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, and we haven't checked all the rest of them to see how it breaks out, but an equal distribution would be that. There's so many shutouts involved, one way or the other. Strike the count to Hannigan. Near miss right there. It's 1-1 on that fastball by Chen, up around 92. Another tough run for the Rays offensively recently on this homestand. Swept by the Blue Jays. Ground ball short. Hardy. Scope at second for the force on Escobar. We head into the 5th, scoreless.
Doubleheader beginning with the Giants taking on the Tigers, or the AL East leading Orioles battering our Rays. Then the AL Central leading Royals take on the Yanks in a game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. It all begins tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern on Fox and continues at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And starting tomorrow for the Rays will be Drew Smyly, and he's been nothing short of a revelation since coming over from Detroit. 3-1, a 1.73 ERA. But the question now is, how much farther will they stretch him, guys? Smiley's already doubled his workload from a year ago, and with little to play for at this point, it's a distinct possibility they could shelve him sooner than later. I talked to Joe Madden about it earlier. He said they're taking it start by start, and nothing has been decided yet. I also asked Drew Smyly about it, and he said he'll use it to his advantage tomorrow, using it as motivation and extra focus, guys.
Yeah, Smiley's approach is that tomorrow will be it. And each time he goes out, that's his mindset. And so tomorrow may or may not be his last start, but he's going to pitch as if that's the last time he's going to start this year and see how it all works out. Boy, he has been very good for the Rays since coming over from the Tigers. Strike one on Flaherty. Which is low. Fifth inning underway with a count of 1-1. Two now on Flaherty. Scoreless ball game. Last 15 innings here at the Trop, the only run has been scored was the game-winning home run by Kobe Rasmus last night in the 10th. Two balls, two strikes.
Did some digging, Dwayne, on those shutout numbers.
Interesting, aren't they?
Wow. I mean, I was impressed with Cobb, 7 out of 22, you know, a little over 30%. How about Smiley? 6 starts, half of them, 3.
Welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Archer, 6 out of 28 starts. But my man from last night.
Yeah, how about that?
Remarkable. Jake Odorizzi, 28 starts, 10 shutouts. He's lost 6 times by shutout.
That's incredible. I mean, well, last night, pretty indicative of how frustrating that can be for a pitcher and for a team. In the center. It's going to fall in front of Zobrist. Scope has a base hit. 1 out single. Baltimore picks up hit number 5.
I mean, Jake, truly, and you know that those are 16 losses, not all on Jake, because obviously last night he didn't lose. But boy, that's tough when you've got to go out and pitch that well just to get a no decision.
Yep.
Fun with numbers. It's been the theme of the year, so why not stay with it?
Well, as we discussed, if you had 5 starters and the equal distribution would be 7 each. Well, it's never going to work out that way. That's what averages are all about. But 10 games for Odorizzi to be involved in a shutout.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable.
2-0, and Smiley comes over and sets an even more torrid pace. How about that? It'll be interesting to see if tomorrow is going to be the last start for him. It very well might be.
You know, you're absolutely right. You know, if there's a hard innings cap, if the team has been deemed to be out of it, then you know that they're going to stick to it.
Yeah.
And you know, as a player, you don't want that. You want to play the season out. You don't want to have your last start be on September the 6th. Yeah. It may not be his call. I guarantee you, just a little we know about him, he wants to be out there pitching until September the 29th.
Absolutely.
You know, and right up until the end. It may not work out that way.
Ground ball, second base. Escobar 1, first base 2. Forsythe, Escobar, Loney, a 4-6-3 double play and out. Takes care of the Baltimore Orioles in the top half of the 5th. No runs a hit and nobody left. No scores. We head into the home half of inning 5. Scoreless, known as your child's first rock band, the Wiggles will take center field this Sunday after the Rays play the Orioles. Concert is free with that game's ticket, and everyone will be able to access the field for the show. First 20,000 fans Sunday also receive a solar-powered waving DJ kitty presented by Chick-fil-A. Visit RaysBaseball.com. New look to the Wiggles. That's not your firstborn's Wiggles. Sean Rodriguez leading off the bottom of the 5th. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, Sean hit a fly ball into right center that was caught by Markakis to end a 2-out threat by the Rays in the 2nd inning. There's a strike and it's 1-1. Pops it to shallow left center. Jones is there and Adam Jones grabs it. It's 1 away. Rodriguez skies to center field.
All right, we can start now.
Welcome back.
Well,
Yep.
hey, I went out on a little mission.
Yes.
I wanted to find out more information about the shutouts. How about this? So 35.
Yep.
7 of the shutouts have been the 1-0 variety.
How about that? Ground ball to second off the bat is Zobrist, and Scope throws him out. Well, 35 shutouts. The Rays are 18-17 in shutouts this year, and 7 1-0 games.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
Yeah, 4-3 in those 7 ball games, but 7 1-0 games. So we still got 3 weeks of baseball left.
Yeah,
and we may have tonight.
Well, we have no score. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. It's business as usual. At least about a quarter of the time. It's pretty amazing. So in other words, you're saying there's a chance. 1-1. Geyer sacrificed in the third. Ball, 2 strikes. It's been a tough stretch for the Rays. This run of games 26 straight against the American League East, and so far they've gone 5-9. 2-2. He's got to 61-61. The 15th of August. There's strike 3 call to Geyer, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Chen. We go to the 6th, still scoreless. Rays and the Orioles through 5 at Tropicana Field tonight. No score. Wei-Yin Chen against Alex Cobb. So more of the same here at Tropicana Field as of late. A struggle to produce runs. David Lowe opens the inning in the 6th for Baltimore, and the Rays shift him defensively. 1 inside. Kansas City's batting in the top of the 7th inning in New York against the Yankees, and the Royals lead in that game 1-0. It's James Shields on the mound for Kansas City tonight. Ground ball, and this one right to Forsythe, closing the hole on the right side of the infield with the shift. He's out of there. Low is 4-3.
Well, they get him to hit right into that shift. Interesting, they moved Evan Longoria around a little bit there. He was over closer to third base, right on the cut of the grass, maybe for the potential bunt on that side. But regardless, Lowe plays right into the Rays' hands for the first out here.
There's Adam Jones. He has singled and walked.
Maybe I should say he played into the Rays' gloves. I'll be here all week. Tip your servers.
You're awfully kind. There's a strike to Jones, a fastball to start him.
So what would your name on this shift be? You should see Forsythe right here.
Yeah, that technically it's a shade.
just a shade.
Yeah, it's actually
maybe even
close to an extreme shade.
Got to be on the shortstop side of second base.
That's a shift.
And then you go, if you take him, boom, there, shift, make him any closer without going over would be extreme, or that would be extreme.
Yep. This is approaching an extreme shade, but not quite the extreme that it would be on the precipice of being a shift. Still a shade. Two-one right now. And there's a strike on the corner. 2-2.
And Adam Jones not happy with that call at all by Will Little, and you can understand why. 2-2. Okay. 3-1. A much better count to hit in. You see this pitch right down there. That's as good as you can get.
Pitch in, and the count is full.
Well, you know that Adam Jones is going to put the ball in play here or strike out, period. He is not taking 2 walks in one game.
And certainly not back-to-back.
Never.
He
could have. He could have.
Yeah, but he's not of a mindset to do that. In his mind, he is a hitter and a run producer. And that's what hitters and run producers do. They swing the bat.
Yeah. And he makes no bones about that. Doesn't try to pretend to be somebody he's not. He tells you, in the on-deck circle, I'm ready to swing. Forget about in the batter's box. I step out and put a helmet on. I'm ready to swing.
Up the middle, and that's a base hit.
Your shift would have got him, Dwayne. Your shift would have got him.
So there you go. Jones on base for the 3rd straight time. With a lot more satisfaction for Jones to have come up with a base hit to be at first than a walk to be at first.
He feels less than human.
Same thing. You're at first with 1 out, but he feels so much better that he swung the bat, hit it through the middle of the infield.
He felt like he did something.
Yeah.
Well, if he walks, I didn't do anything. Don't tell me I took a walk. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, which is to take this piece of wood and mash that cowhide.
It's a little down to Cruz. Nelson Cruz in the box now. 1-0.
Love the way that he plays the game. A lot of energy, a lot of life, good defender, good base runner, productive hitter.
Into the dirt, and he's off to advance to second. Hannigan stopped it, did everything he could to stop it. And he's hurting a little bit right there, trying to shake it off. That's a wild pitch.
Well, go back to that. Oh, boy. Yeah, I would want to shake that off, too.
Hannigan takes a little walk. Jones at second on the wild pitch. What's the count to 2-0 to Cruz?
Got some good numbers again.
Yes.
Some cracked numbers. You know how many times in Adam Jones's career he's taken 2 walks in a single game?
How many?
16. 16 times. How many times he's had 2 or more hits in a game?
How many?
More than 16. And 322.
Well, and the amazing thing about that is if you look at Jones and look at his career, and not only at-bats would be enough, but if you figured all the plate appearances he had, it's even more impressive then when you look at it that way. are more, I guess, impressive. I mean, he hardly ever walks, but look at those numbers. Great numbers. Anyway, here's a guy last year just at bats. He had 653 at bats. Long one, well foul. And that'll take the count to 2-2.
I got one more for you, and this one you're going to guess. We'll get everybody in the room to guess. Multiple walk games and multiple hits, same. So at least 2 walks, at least 2 hits in a game. How many times has he done that?
Well, it's got to be fewer than 16.
That would be correct.
Let's just say that 8 of those.
I'll give you one more guess. You can count them on one hand.
And 5. Fly ball to right. Myers in line there to make the catch. Holding at second is Jones.
I'll give you one more guess, but you have to lose the thumb and lose the pinky.
That's how difficult that is to do. Be on base 4 times.
Yeah.
2 walks, couple of hits. 3 times.
3 times.
I knew that all along. I just thought it'd be much more interesting if we just went back and
try to take this inning all the way out. We got to find something.
Yep. No runs to find so far. And you'd really like to wait to the bottom of the inning to find some of those runs.
Well, a big out there and a long way towards not finding any runs in this inning. But guess who comes up? Chris Davis. Now, he's handled him, and the season number's not good, but right here, always the potential.
Chris Davis 0 for 2. Pitch is a strike. The Rays have Forsythe in short right field. Escobar on the first base side of second. The lone defender on the left side would be Longoria. Haven't actually made the play on him on the first base side of second in the second inning. He takes a strike at the knees. 0-2. Now Davis had a little word or two with Will Little in the 4th inning when he was out on strikes on the pitch up. Up the left side, but that's foul. Slice on that one off the left-handed bat.
Boy, and Alex Cobb snatching the ball back from Ryan Hannigan. Disgusted with himself. Knows that he got away with a pitch there. And, you know, that's where as a pitcher, that's what you have to think. Okay, I got away with that one. Regroup, refocus, go back up there, realize I'm 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning. Pick it and make it.
Liner into right. That's going to be caught by Myers. Will Myers charging in on the sinking line drive into right field. Makes the grab to retire the side. Nice job by Will there in the nick of time to retire Chris Davis and the Baltimore Orioles. Still scoreless as we head into the bottom of the 6th. think it'll be Longoria, Myers, and Loney due up in this scoreless ball game. Well, a fine catch on the sinking line drive by Chris Davis.
Boy, saving a run. And obviously Chris Davis, that ball gets by him and he's at least on second. But what a play by Will Myers. And another case of a guy making a great play in the field and then in the on-deck circle when the inning starts.
Just a little twist on that.
It happens all the time.
There he is. Looking over the bat handle. Still no batting gloves. There's a shot by Longoria up the line. Back headed toward the corner. Longoria is on his way to second with a leadoff double. The Rays have a man in scoring position to start the inning. Zobrist led off the third with a base hit, was bunted to second and was stranded. Rays left the bases loaded in the second inning, and now leadoff double by Evan.
Mislocation by Chen. That ball meant to be away comes over the plate. You can see that ball just clip the top of third base. Obviously fair. A leadoff double, a runner in scoring position, and now we get to see the guy who makes the great play and then drives in the Rays' first run. We hope.
Will has a base hit tonight. He's singled into center in the second inning. Flips it into short right. Markakis is there though and makes the catch. So that's the first out. One for three.
First baseman, number 21, James Lovey.
James Loney. Loney 0 for 2. Interesting here with the lefty Chen on Loney. Chen has tightened up the pitch count the last couple innings. Made 30 pitches in the second. And he averages a little over 100 pitches. Normally his pitch count. And he was headed for over 100 in the fifth inning until he made just 16 in the fourth and 9 in the fifth. Foul ball, 21.
You could see they're trying to crowd Loney. You remember the last at bat was curveball away, fastball in, roll over to first base. And here, as they move their defense against Loney, that is the tip-off that they're going to try to pitch him in, which is what they did the first 2 years. You give James Loney this much room to work with, he's got a chance to squeeze it through, and you know he likes to use the whole field. Now they're going away. This will be his opportunity.
And it's off the plate away with the breaking stuff. 2-1. Well, the Rays have scored only 10 runs in the last 5 games, hitting just 194. They have no runs, 4 hits so far tonight. An opportunity here in the 6th. And that's a strike. 2-2. Slider that time from Chen. And Loney caught looking on a fastball. Well, a lot of breaking stuff. The slider preceded that one, and they got him looking on a fastball for the second out.
Well, the last 2 sequences from Chen to Loney have been outstanding, and you see a couple of pitches in early, or 1 pitch in early. Reminder of James Loney, that last at bat, then away with the curveball, then the slider for a strike, and then that fastball, showing him a little bit of everything.
Ryan Webb up in the bullpen for the Orioles. Escobar is away from the pitch in. The slider off the plate. Oh, Peralta up in the bullpen for the Rays. 2-0. Changeup. So 1 pitch in, the slider and the changeup off the plate away. 2-0. This next pitch will be number 100 for Chen on the night. This ball low. 3-0 now to Escobar. Rays have beaten Baltimore only 1 time here at Tropicana Field this year. They are 1-5 against Baltimore. 5-11 against them in the season series. Strike. 3-1.
Well, you got to figure that Escobar should get something good to hit here. 3-1 he elects to take, but now this 3-1 count, he should be geared up and ready to go, and he's one of the more aggressive hitters in this Rays lineup.
And ball 4. Off the plate that time.
The strike zone tonight from Will Little has been at times inconsistent. This pitch right here, we've seen this pitch called a strike. This time in the 3-1 count, it is not. Another 2-out walk for Chen. And a couple of them earlier. Was able to get out of that inning. See if he can do the same here. Somebody's got to score.
Well, Logan has walked and hit a fly ball to the warning track in center field. He came in 3 out of 10 for the home run off Chen. Two men on right now with 2 men out. Pitch is in. Here's the home run in Baltimore. Here with a chance to put the Rays out in front. It'll take a 2-out hit to do it. Foul ball. 1-1. Catchers continue to take a beating back there.
Not for the faint of heart, that is for sure.
Fastball by him.
Boy, up in the zone too. And I'm not sure that's exactly where Caleb Joseph or Wei-Yin Chen wanted that pitch, but it worked out for him. And now the count in his favor as he looks to get out of this spot.
Again, stuff again. 94 on that one. Hannigan on deck. Right now, all eyes on Forsythe. With Longoria on second, Escobar at first, and 2 outs in a scoreless game. Bottom of the 6th inning. Forsythe out on strikes. The slider got him. The Rays lead 2. No score through 6. hooked up in another low-scoring game. This is as low as you can go. Scoreless through 6. Cobb has made 94 pitches. He got 4 strikeouts on the night, opposed by Wei-In Chen. Now at 107 pitches through 6. He's had to pitch out of a couple spots, but has done so when he needed to.
And how about that last half inning? A leadoff double by Evan Longoria, and he doesn't move. In fact, he was out there so long, you wonder how he didn't have Chen's pitches and was tipping them.
Yeah, an 18-pitch inning, 16 of those with him out there in scoring position at second. J.J. Hardy leads off the 7th and takes a strike.
This is eerily similar and familiar from that 1-14 stretch, where all of a sudden the offense started to get into its own head.
Ground ball to second. Forsythe gloves it with the first out in the 7th inning. Yeah, you're always reluctant to even think that, much less say it, but you're right. There are some similarities.
Well, that's exactly what was happening then. You know, we talked a little bit earlier about some inexplicable plays that we've seen, but some things have happened inexplicably offensively. Like last night, for instance,
yeah.
The first and third, nobody out. That Rays are going to win that game somehow. Ball doesn't leave home plate after that. 3 strikeouts, the inning's done. A leadoff double, and nothing. It's very frustrating, and I think that's when guys start to press, maybe start to try and do too much, which just compounds the problem.
Quick strikes. Breaking ball followed by the fastball there.
And you're thankful for Jake Odorizzi and Alex Cobb and the bullpen for still allowing you chances to win these games. For as good as they've thrown the ball.
Joseph out on 3 pitches. The changeup got him. Strikeout number 5 for Cobb.
How about this? Throwing it in, and in on purpose. That's where he's a little advanced with his use of that changeup. Not just about getting it down below the zone to get that swing, but he'll change the parts of the plate that he'll use it for maximum effectiveness.
Ryan Flaherty playing third base tonight. First pitch is a strike. Right at 100 pitches on the evening. A little bit in. 1-1. Changeup wound up outside, 2-1. Jonathan Scope on deck. Not only have the Orioles dominated inside the American League East, they've been a good ball club on the road. They're 10 over on the road, 39-29. It's the best road winning percentage they've had since 1997. They won 98 games that year in 97. 98-64. Struggled again until 2012 when they went 93-69. 3-2. Comes back to get him on strikes. Change up, couple of strikeouts on the change to end the top of the 7th. 7th inning stretch time, no score. That's a nice job. Alex says, how about another inning? See if we can score some runs. He's made to this point 105 pitches, 112 his season's high. And with this conversation and the bullpen starting to get active, we may have seen the last of Cobb tonight. We'll make sure. Place your reservations for 2015 ticket plans. Establish seniority today and be in line for priority upgrades to the best seat locations and exclusive benefits throughout the season. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. The Orioles are going to make a pitching change. Ryan Webb will be the new pitcher. Takes over for Wei-Yin Chen, 107 pitches in 6 innings. Webb out of Clearwater. And here is Ryan Hannigan. Pitch is in there for a strike.
Ryan Webb, sinker ball extraordinaire. That's what he's looking to do. Tall frame, good sink. Wants to keep the ball on the ground, keep his infielders involved.
Popper up the right side toward the bullpen and will be out of play. Chris Davis giving it a good try. Brad Boxberger's down there in the Rays bullpen. David DeJesus on deck. Sean Rodriguez started as the DH, but with the right-hander Webb now in the game, DeJesus will be next. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Ryan Webb out of Clearwater Central Catholic. Hopper to second. Scope throws out Hannigan. 1 away, and that'll be DeJesus to hit. Sean Rodriguez 0 for 2 tonight.
Well, by the very nature of the makeup of this team, we've seen Joe Madden do this an awful lot this year. He will bring in the pinch hitter for the designated hitter and lose that position.
Jesus fouls it right back for a strike. Ryan's dad, Hank, pitched in the big leagues with the Mets and the Dodgers. Is down. It's 1-1. Rays have stranded 7 men tonight. Baltimore 5 in this scoreless game. Two balls and a strike. Ben Zobrist on deck. Now 3 balls and a strike.
Webb asking for a new baseball. Not have any strikes in it. Well, only one maybe by his count.
Yeah, he'd like something with better odds.
Yeah.
And there's ball 4. So 1 out walk. That will get Ben Zobrist to the plate. Ben 1 for 3 at an infield hit in the 3rd. Been 1 out of 6 in his career with a couple walks against Webb. And a fastball for strike 1.
Ryan Webb still with that ability to get the ground ball double play, which is what he's looking for here. A ton of ground balls, over a 2-to-1 ratio. And you wonder if at some point Joe doesn't turn to Jesus loose to try to stay out of that scenario.
And a move to first. Orioles thinking along those same lines.
Now here at Tropicana Field, you can use that cutout as a guide. When you get that camera angle showing the base runner's lead and where he's at, and you see DeJesus shorten that lead just a little bit.
Then takes a pitch inside just off the plate. 1-1.
And you know what? He just had him flip-flopped. First pitch was a ball, second one was a strike.
It's 1-1. Whichever way you're going to look at it.
That's right. 1-1's the big count anyway.
And there is ball 2. Brandon Geyer's on deck. Out of play. That'll square the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. looking to his third hitter in relief of Wei-Yin Chen. Zobrist started to go, but checked on the slider that broke down and in out of the zone, and he did not chase it, holding up in time.
Well, now do you send to Jesus? Full count, just one out. Trust Ben Zobrist enough to put the ball in play or take his walk. This would be a good opportunity to be aggressive here for the Rays. Try to make something happen. Status quo has not been working.
Runner goes, and the pitch hit on the ground is second. Go to second, safe there, and out at first. Scope tried to start the double play. Unloaded its throw to Hardy. Close play there at second. And Buck Showalter wants to come out, spend a little time, and see what's up here.
Only because it was hit so sharply does Scope think he has a chance. Boy, that is awfully close. I think DeJesus is in there, but closer than originally looked. That foot does get down on the bag before the ball is in the back of Hardy's glove.
Gibson right there looking in to make the call. So the Rays starting the runner. And DeJesus did just get in there.
Boy, that could be big. That could be big. You know, you drive this run in here, and it just goes to show you that DeJesus comes in as a pinch hitter, takes a walk, off and running, hustles, is able to beat that throw to second base.
Now Matt Joyce will pinch hit for Brandon Guyer. Joyce the matchup with Webb, against whom he is 1 for 4 with a couple walks.
How about a sinker down and away, a ground ball to the left side, right out into left center field.
And this one thrown into the dirt, a wild pitch. And over to third goes DeJesus. DeJesus now at third. First pitch to Joyce in the dirt.
Change up. It's going to end up in the seats. Caleb Joseph sliding across to block it, up off the glove, the body, and right out of play.
Makes the catch, and that retires the side. Rays leave a man at third. We're through 7. No score tonight from the Trop.
14th. Big Fox is picking up the game tomorrow, so we will be off the air. But back for Sunday's action, Bud Norris going up against Jeremy Hellickson. We will also have a preview of the Inside the Rays airing that day on Grant Balfour. A little hint there, it includes Australian animals. That's all Sunday on our 1 o'clock Rays Live, the pregame show driven by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. And tonight, after the final out, stick around for clubhouse interviews. Dwayne and BA's take on this one. And Rich will be hosting with Arestus. All on the postgame show presented by Checkers. Guys.
All right, Kelly, thank you. And Sunday's game will wrap up this homestand. Rays will then hit the road, get into New York and Toronto with one homestand left, and that'll be against the Yankees and the White Sox. Brad Boxberger takes over for Alex Cobb. 7 innings for Cobb. 57th appearance now for Boxberger, who is 3-1 with a 198 earned run average. He faces Jonathan Scope. And the first pitch is a strike. Scope down to that 9th spot. Here's a guy with some pop, and he likes to swing the bat. He doesn't walk a lot. And it's hit 15 home runs this year. One and one. Wide. 2-1. Scope has struck out over 100 times this year and has walked only 11 times. Markakis on deck. Fouls this one up in front of the changeup, and that takes the count to 2-2.
Boxberger's put him in the position right now to strike out once again, and that's something that Boxberger has been unbelievable at this year. His 92 strikeouts on the season as a reliever. That's tied with J.P. Howe for the Rays record.
He strikes him out with a fastball. So it takes care of the first man he faces. And Scope out of there on strikes.
Now this has been the forte for Boxberger. The fastball, the changeup, good velocity on the fastball. Takes a ton off on the changeup. And just plays those pitches off of each other with great success.
So with that strikeout, he moves ahead of JP, the club record. There's Nick Markakis. 1-0 now. Two balls, no strikes. Markakis fouls that one back. 2-1. Center field. Zobrist there, and so is Joyce. A near collision between the two, and Joyce comes out of there with the catch. A little brush between Zobrist and Joyce. 2 gone, fortunately.
Now you see Ben calling it the whole way. Matt Joyce is there to make the catch. A little bit of miscommunication by 2 guys who aren't out there working together very often. Ben Zobrist out in center field tonight, Matt Joyce in left. And fortunately, Matt able to put that ball away. That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, this is the second start of the year in center field for Zobrist. David Lowe. This is a strike. Lowe singled in the first. He's 1 for 3. That was the other way against the shift. Shift on again for him. Longoria continues to stay a couple steps closer to third base than he was in the first inning. Foul the other way. Back 1-2. Rays were 13-6 against the Orioles last year. They finished strong, winning 11 of the last 13 against them. But they're 5-11 this year and hooked up in a scoreless game in the 8th inning tonight. Jammed him and he fouls it back. Alex Cobb made 105 pitches, worked the first 7. No runs, 6 hits. Now Brad Boxberger, 2 outs, bases empty here in the 8th. And he got him on the changeup. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 8 on the night for Rays pitching. 1, 2, 3 go the Orioles. No score, middle of the 8th. Evan Longoria will open it. Evan, then Myers and Loney. Evan opened the 6th inning with a double when the Rays left 2 men on. Left the bases loaded in the 2nd inning. And they'll face Ryan Webb to start the bottom of the 8th. This pitch is a strike. Webb worked a scoreless 7th. Walked to Jesus. And he was eventually advanced to third and left on there. Evan takes strike 2. Big Jake McGee up in the Rays bullpen. Pretty close. A look outside there by Longoria.
Pretty good take by Evan on a tough pitch. That stayed in the zone for an awful long time before finally sliding off.
Evan has never had a hit off Webb. He's 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. Chops it foul. Tom Foley with a nice little pickup down there. Will Myers to follow Evan. Headed out of play.
Those are the types of pitches that Webb wants to stay away from, and as a hitter, if you see it, you got to try and capitalize. So he's down in the zone so much, that's why he gets all those ground balls, and hitters will have a tendency to start focusing down in the zone, and all of a sudden you get that one that hangs up out over the plate and you just foul it off.
Line drive, base hit through the hole into left. Big turn by Longoria. Blow it over toward the corner and a few steps from the track to field that one.
He was way out in left center field, and that's why Evan Longoria out of the box really got it going, because he knows his ball hit. It's got some curling action to it, and Lowe's going to have to run a long way to get it. So he's already thinking double right there.
Longoria on for the second time. Here's Will Myers. This is the third time the Rays have put the leadoff man aboard in an inning tonight. Actually, the fourth time now. It's a strike. They had Myers on with a single in the second. Zobrist led off the third with a base hit. Longoria doubled in the sixth, and now Longoria with a single in the eighth. So they've had the leadoff man on base in 4 of the 8 innings tonight. One and one.
Well, you know what? Hopefully this is the inning that they can finally get off the schneid here. Shutout in last night's ball game. Shutout so far here tonight. They've had their opportunities, that's for sure, and presented with another one here. Leadoff man aboard, always big, especially late in the game.
So Evan Meek throwing in the bullpen. Pitch is a little bit in. 2-1.
What you see Evan Longoria on that lead right there, take his lead, then jump out a little bit further. Didn't get much of a reaction from Webb. Trying to see if he can't test the limits here. He will pick his spots for a stolen base. You see him trying to time him up.
Foul ball runs the count to 2-2.
Well, you test a little bit, you start to feel good about your chances, and if he's not paying you any mind, all of a sudden you get that little bit of a running start and you take off. And we've seen Evan do that a handful of times this year with good success.
Time a move to first.
I think everybody is noticing the same thing, and I'll tell you who's really good at picking that stuff up is Buck Showalter from in that dugout, and he's got a good view of it, and he Probably relaying a sign out there to Caleb Joseph to throw over.
And another move over there, and that's exactly why Longoria getting a little frisky off first.
Well, and in the last 2 throwovers, the lead has been shortened, and he's stayed stagnant. He's not been trying to time him up, jump, flinch, all those different things that he was using as a timing mechanism the first couple of pitches. See if he goes back to it.
Check and a little tapper foul. Holds the count even at 2-2.
Well, regardless, he has the attention of Webb. And sometimes that's all it takes. A little attention over there, not quite as much attention on the pitch execution, and bam, a hitter gets a pitch out over to handle.
And a base hit drilled through the hole on the left side, sending Longoria to second. Longoria and Myers have opened the inning with base hits here in the bottom of the 8th.
Well, here it is. A slider doesn't quite get to its spot, stays middle, and Will Myers able to take advantage.
Buck Showalter pops out of the dugout. Myers went 2 for 4 last night. He was 1 for 4 Wednesday. And is 2 for 4 tonight. Pitching change coming. For the Orioles, back with Baltimore up from their Norfolk AAA affiliate. This is his 5th stint with the Orioles. He was 2-0 with a 194 at Norfolk. And in 13 games with Baltimore, a little over 7 ERA. And the All-Star team a few years ago when he was pitching out of the Pirates bullpen. And now here's James Loney against him. First pitch is upstairs. Big opportunity for the Rays in this scoreless game in the bottom half of inning 8. Quickly ahead in the count.
Well, Evan Meek coming into a very difficult situation and putting himself into a much tougher spot with those first two offerings here to Loney.
And a foul ball back. That pitch up out over the plate.
Absolutely not sharp at all coming in with the first three pitches. That was 86 miles an hour right out over.
Ryan Mattis now busy in the bullpen. Three balls and a strike. Escobar on deck. And ball four will load the bases.
Boy, just not close with anything in that at bat. That was one of the easiest walks that you will ever take outside of an intentional. And now bases loaded, nobody out, and you just don't have any faith that Evan Meek's going to be able to find the zone in a good spot with those pitches that we just saw.
Showalter on the bullpen phone. Singles by Longoria and Myers, followed by the walk to Loney. Bases are loaded. Escobar at the plate. Ground ball, that's just foul outside of third. Strike one.
Look out, happy feet. Nice job.
The other way, foul by Escobar, 0-2. Saunders up. Another lefty that Mattis up already. This one gets away from Scope, rolling into right. Longoria scores. The bases will remain loaded. And the Rays take a 1-0 lead. Escobar made contact and the ball hit on the ground to the second baseman, got away from him.
Well, that ball was hit hard too, so you got a feeling that where Scope is, boy, one hop, he's going to have a play at the plate, and he's not able to come up with it. Boy, just rattles off the glove. Rays take the lead, and they maintain that bases loaded, nobody out. Got a chance to blow this thing wide open with 3 outs to get.
They give Escobar a hit. He gets a run batted in. And here is Forsythe. Logan Forsythe looking for his first hit tonight. Ground ball short. Hardy comes to the plate out there. There's no throw to first. So they get the force on Myers from the shortstop to the catcher Joseph. Forsythe the board on a fielder's choice. Bases loaded, 1 out now.
Well, now that same play, they'll go for a double play up the middle. Actually, either of the last 2 balls that were hit. That's the way Baltimore will try and play this. try to escape here, giving up just 1 run. Ryan Hannigan needs to do something about that and up this lead.
Hannigan 0 for 2 with a walk in the game. First pitch is a strike.
Big situations, able to slow the game down. Try not to do too much. Realize that the pitcher's the one in trouble here, not you. The pitcher's the one that needs to come out over the plate. Be patient, wait for your pitch, have a plan, and execute.
It's foul back. 0-2. Side, that's foul and out of play. So the Rays get a run here in the 8th. Try to build the lead. And McGee up in the bullpen. Boxberger worked the top half of the 8th. And a 1-2-3 inning. Hit into left. That gets Loney home. Escobar heads to the plate. He is safe. Forsythe to third. Hannigan drives in 2. It's 3-0 Tampa Bay.
Now what an at-bat by Ryan Hannigan. Falling down in the count 0-2 right off the bat. Battling back, getting a front door cutter there, and just lacing it to left field. That now puts him at 3 for 6 with the bases loaded, and that was a big one there. A 2-run base hit.
Escobar beat the play to the plate. The Rays lead 3-0. Ryan Hannigan comes through with a big hit. Buck Showalter's going to make a pitching change. He wants the left-hander Joe Saunders.
Now entering the game, this field.
Hannigan's at first, Forsythe at third. Kurt Casale will pinch hit for DeJesus with the left-hander Joe Saunders coming into this game, the 4th pitcher of the night. Third pitcher of the inning. Casale chops it foul outside of third. Kurt Casale back with the Rays. Going to put down the bunt, and he's hit by the pitch. Hit on the leg, and that will reload the bases.
I just yanked that fastball in as Casale was squaring around, got him on that back leg. Welcome to the ball game, Kurt.
As a catcher, he's used to it.
That's, you know what? How true is that? Just not used to getting hit directly on the shin.
Yeah.
You're right. I've seen a couple of those shots tonight taken by catchers.
Ben Zobrist looks at a strike.
You wonder what it's like at the end of a season, trying to, the bone bruise here, there, I mean, just constantly. It's never ending. So they start to feel like a human being again.
And it's time for the new season to start.
I was going to say, that's going to take a while.
Well, Peralta's taken charge of the clipboard down there in the bullpen. He's been ready, but Brandon Gomes is now up. Little ground ball second. Scope to Hardy. One first base in time for the double play. 4-6-3 and out. So the Rays put 3 up in the 8th inning. We go to the 9th. 3-0 Tampa Bay. Promised earlier in the game, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Bobbing your head to the beat. Tomorrow, the first 20,000 fans through the gate receive the Longo 80s hairband bobblehead. Come rock out with Longo as the Rays take on the Orioles. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Kevin Kiermaier takes over in center field for the Rays here in the 9th inning. Moving over to play left field is Ben Zobrist. Jake McGee will be the new pitcher. Adam Jones will open the inning against Jake. Jones 2 singles and a walk tonight. Cut and a miss on the fastball for a strike. How about that?
How about that? That's the first curveball we've seen in about a month and a half. And this was a good one, too. 80 miles an hour. Some sweeping, slurvy type action right there for strike 2. And now Adam Jones, he's still got to bank on fastball, right? He's not going to double up. That's got to be the thinking.
There's a double up in 2 months. And a swing and a miss. Oh, that fastball at 97. Strikeout number 9 for Rays pitching.
Well, what a sequence by Jake. 0-2, and then fastball just continues to rise out there. That ball just stayed right on a level plane, right to the plate. And you see how quickly it gets there.
That ball had some great run. He couldn't catch up, and he couldn't reach it.
No. Yeah, that, I mean, and he was behind. It was a lot going on there. Not good for Jones.
Nelson Cruz. Pitch wide. Alex Cobb finished his night by striking out the last 2 men he faced. Brad Boxberger struck out 2 of the 3 men he faced. And now McGee has struck out Adam Jones. 1-1 here to Cruz.
So one thing that this pitching rotation has been consistent with all season long is racking up strikeouts. Top strikeout team in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, on a record pace.
Yep.
Blows that one by Nelson Cruz. Upstairs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Foul back. Do it again on 2-2. Well, the Rays lead 3-0. 2 outs away from their 19th shutout. They were shut out last night for the 17th time. Foul ball, and if they can close out this shutout, it would tie them for the major league lead with St. Louis. The Cardinals have 19 shutouts, the Rays 18. And strike 3 is called. Cruz caught looking. Not happy. Lodges his complaint with Will Little. 2 outs now.
Well, we've seen during the course of this ball game, Will Little strike zone have some inconsistency. And this one right here, I think Nelson Cruz convinced that that ball was in off the plate and just letting him know about it on his way back.
So Rays pitching now. 6 of the last 7 hitters have gone out on strikes. Here's Chris Davis. First pitch is a strike. And there is strike 2. Rays have recorded a strikeout of every Baltimore hitter tonight except J.J. Hardy. There's the 2-strike pitch. A little wide. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's over. Jake McGee strikes out the side. 11 strikeouts for Rays pitching, a combination shutout. Rays win it 3-0. 19th shutout for the Rays pitching staff this year. $3-0 the final. Brad Boxberger's going to get the win. A save for Jake McGee. Ryan Webb, the losing pitcher, before 14,632 tonight at Tropicana Field. So the Rays, who were just swept by the Blue Jays, come back to open this series against the Orioles and take a 3-0 victory. They did it with 3 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Got a run on the ball hit by Yunel Escobar, scored a hit. He picked up the RBI, and then Ryan Hannigan later singled home 2 runs. So the Rays have beaten Baltimore for only the 2nd time this year at the Trop. They're now 2-5 here at the Trop and 6-11 overall in the season series against the Baltimore Orioles. Rays are winners 3-0. Right now, let's go down to Rich Hollenberg and Evan Longoria.
Thanks, Dwayne. Evan, you scored the game-winning run. I know you dyed your hair blonde at some point in the season, but is that to cover up some of the gray hairs? I mean, what's it like to handle all these close games?
It's been tough. You know, it's been an up-and-down year for us, but tonight was one of those games that I think we needed to come through, you know, for our own morale and to just remind ourselves that we're a good team. So it was a great team effort tonight.
Alex Cobb was Alex Cobb again. Only 2 Baltimore Orioles reached second base, and then Boxberger and McGee came down and did what they normally do. What's it like to play behind them when they're on the run that they're on?
Cobb has been great for us. You know, he's been one of those guys, I think, that missing David and not having him around, he's really stepped up and proved that he can really anchor a staff and lead the way. And so, and like you said, McGee and Boxberger and the rest of the bullpen guys have been great as well. So it's been fun to watch.
You mentioned it's a win for morale. Last question for you. 20 games left in the season. The playoff chase is still up for grabs at this point. What's the mentality like in the locker room?
Just to try and win every day and enjoy the rest of them and go out and have fun.
Evan Longoria, 2 for 4. The Rays are now 58-3 when they take a lead into the 9th inning. Congratulations, Evan. Rays win it again, 3-0 over the Orioles. Back to you guys in the booth.
All right, thank you. A 3-0 victory for the Rays here at Tropicana Field tonight. Back to wrap it in a moment.